Hey guys, welcome back to another garden tour. It's Saturday, July 27th. We've had another week of really good weather and we've been harvesting quite a bit of produce from the garden. As you can see, today we harvested, I think it was 3 heads of lettuce, some kale, and a whole bunch of strawberries that never made it in the house. The kids ate them right away, so I don't have any video footage of it, but there's lots more strawberries coming, so I'm sure I'll get a chance to show you what I harvest from that bed. We also harvested the edible pod peas, so this includes the Oregon Giant peas and the Sugar Snap peas. The plants were just out of gas. They were looking like they had come to the end of their productivity. So pulled all the plants out and did a final harvest of those peas. We ended up with just under 10 pounds of the edible pod peas, so not a bad harvest for this year. So let's see what's left in the garden. So in the first bed, the beets are doing quite well. They're just starting now to bulb up. Pretty small still. It'll be another 2 or 3 weeks before we harvest this lot. Romaine lettuce is doing well. We've harvested again this morning a few of the red lettuces. Peppers are doing well. We harvested a few of those today. And the butternut, leftover butternut, and spaghetti squash starting to vine out. Few flowers starting to show up, and some fruit coming. Tomatoes doing well. Came through and tied up the tops. Lots of tomatoes set. Some of the larger ones have fallen off. We had a pretty strong wind, and sometimes that'll knock off the uppermost tomatoes, but lots of fruit set. Again, it'll still be a while before we're actually harvesting tomatoes. Again, in the pea bed, all the edible pod peas are out. They're all there, destined for the compost bin. So all that's left are the garden peas. Now these are the jumbo peas. They're kind of a commercial variety. So if you leave them, what you can do is harvest everything all at once. Some of them will be a little bit on the smaller side. So you could either go through and pick them as they're ready, or you just wait for these ones, the first peas. They'll be a little bit overdone when the uppermost peas are done, but you can essentially harvest them all at the same time. Brussels sprout bed, again, growing very well. Don't plan on harvesting anything from that bed until much later in the year. Broccolis all have nice heads forming. You can see, well staggered. Probably take that one tomorrow and then continue harvesting this bed for the next couple weeks. Whatever we don't use, we blanch and we freeze, so I don't mind having an excessive amount of broccoli or peas. We just end up freezing them all. Onions really doing well, starting to put on quite a bit of weight now. And again, slowly starting to bulb up. These plants just take forever to actually produce something. But we should get them in just as the season comes to a close. Again, harvested a bunch of kale. Cauliflowers are a little bit behind, but slowly coming along. And this other bed of beets is coming right along. they should be ready to harvest, probably late September. Beets are hardy, so it doesn't really matter if they go late into the season. And in the squash bed, you can see the canopy that the spaghetti squash and the butternut squash puts out. It's quite impressive. Again, these plants will just take over. My one watermelon plant doesn't really stand a chance. That's all right. Not too worried about it. Cucumber plants are starting to vine out, so hopefully we get a whole bunch of slicing cucumbers. And there are already some pickling cucumbers set. See them right there. And we'll be harvesting and pickling those as they're ready. And as I mentioned before, we train the spaghetti squashes out the side of the bed. Again, we're not too concerned about them interfering with our grass. You can see lots of spaghetti squashes starting to form. So we've already had a few spaghetti squash that have not been pollinated. So what I'm going to do is yeah, those are prickly, Julie.
Pollinate! Watch me go down the path.
So we've already had a few squash not pollinate, so I grabbed a male flower, which are the ones that don't have a fruit attached, and there's a female flower here with a squash on it, so I'm just gonna open up the male flower and pollinate female one. Sometimes the squashes still die, but pretty sure this increases the chance of pollination. And there's another one over here. Do the same thing. Just leave the flower in there and see if those ones start to grow. And in this last bed, it's hard to see through the mesh, but the Savoy cabbage is just now starting to hard up a little bit. That one's right along. Leftover broccolis. Don't have any heads in them yet, but they should get there shortly. They're really big plants. Other cabbages starting to hard up. And surprisingly enough, my pepper plants that I thought were not going to do anything actually have a few peppers set. So yeah, those plants definitely caught up. And this is the strawberry bed after it's been picked over by the kids. Again, you can see lots of flowers, lots of berries still to come. And again, we come through here and snip off all the runners so that they concentrate their energy on making berries. Alright, that about does it for another week. The blueberries are still not quite ready to pick. I've been saying for the last few weeks that we'll be picking them shortly, but they just take forever to actually ripen up. But as soon as they do, we will film it. And the raspberries are just now starting to ripen up. So I'll give you a little video of my ongoing efforts to get that bed into shape and what we actually harvest from them. All right, that's about it. So see you next time.